I got 1-2 punch, pow, 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 from Richard Sherman.
Richard Sherman.
One about the offense and one about the defense. The offense, I'm going to have to read to you. The defense, we've got the sound.
Okay.
Here's
from the Richard Sherman podcast, which is one of my favorites.
Via the Undisputed.
Yep.
All right. Quote, the kid has made some mistakes down the stretch. The INTs this game and the INTs versus Minnesota were unacceptable plays. But I also watched the rest of the tape. Brock was very effective and efficient throughout the remainder of the game. He was effective early to Brandon Ayuk and to George Kittle. Huge plays throughout the game. So my memory does not ignore those things. It does not just look at the negatives and ignore the positives. End quote, Richard Sherman.
Great take. And it's a take that is easy to overlook. And it's a take that many of us don't want to have because we all look at what happened in nut crunching time and the biggest moments of the game. And that's what happened in the biggest moments of the game. You're at the 8-yard line and he throws a pick that never should have been thrown. And then a Jimmy oh-no throw the very next pass. And so we immediately think, bad game, Brock. Brock Purdy stunk. Brock Purdy lost the game. But you forget the other throws that preceded those throws, including dimes, hang him in there throws, touchdown tosses, and the rest of it.
Ad-lib, moving around, buying time.
A QB runs as well, which it should count for his resume.
Doing a lot with his legs the last couple of games, for sure. Okay, and then what about this? If anybody wants to weigh into the whole scheme conversation, Steve Wilks versus, yes, maybe we should call it scheme. The scheme.
Thank you.
From Steve Wilks. Is it the scheme? Is it the players? Richard Sherman. My mind escapes me. Let's see. He played defense. That's right. He played defense. Oh, and he played with a lot of these players on this particular team. Here's what he said he would do if he were the 49ers defensive coordinator.
If you were called upon to be the defensive coordinator for this team, what adjustments would you make tomorrow?
We're going back to the fundamentals. We're going back to the things we do well. We're not running man on first and second down like they've been doing. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't think they're sound. We're going to mix it up. We're going to play fast. Our D-line's going to have to get hot like they've been doing. And for you to take them out of that, for you to sit there and run games and stunts and do all these other things instead of just ears back, go get to the quarterback like these guys have specialized in for the last, 3-4 years, is weird. It's weird, and I think Kyle Shanahan has had enough. I think this is the straw that's going to break the camel's back. There's going to be changes next week.
Okay, now I don't think he's talking about firing the defensive coordinator, but I do think you're going to see a different style. I agree with Sherm here, and that's interesting at the end. I think Kyle Shanahan has had enough. This is the straw that broke the camel's back. That may well be the case. I have a more fundamental question that goes back, though, a number of months. Why on earth would you come in to run this defense and think, all right, you know what I'm going to do? We're going to change it up. What the hell would you do that for? And why would you hire someone who was going to come in and do that? So I'm not just blaming Steve. Like, the 49ers in power, it's not like Steve surprised them.
Right.
I told them I'm going to do everything just the same, but I'm actually going to come in here and call a bunch of other stuff. It'll be the funniest thing ever. What is the staff doing? Why would they think, and I'm not saying be complacent or stagnant, but why would you come in and change up what this defense was doing? Because what this defense has been doing is really, really effective.
Well, if it's what you believe in as a defensive coordinator, then you're going to go with what you believe in. And if you look at this team through the first 5 games of the season, they gave up 68 points in 5 games. They were 5-0. They gave up 7, 23 to the Rams, 12, 16, and 10 against the Dallas Cowboys. So you had a defense that was averaging, giving up 13.6 points a game. So Steve Wilks can look at that 5-0, one of the 2 or 3 best defenses in all of football, and he could say, right on, what I've done has taken a very good defense and kept it a very good defense. Well, now the last 3 weeks, not so much. You give up 19, 22, and 31, including 460 total yards to Cincinnati and a boatload of yards against Minnesota and all the rest of it. I'm sorry, 452 against Minnesota, 400 against Cincinnati.
Oof.
So now, suddenly, what you had been doing isn't working. So now you have to make the changes, and you enter the bye week. And if it is as simple as what Richard Sherman is saying, stop playing man-to-man on first and second down, play more zone, which it feels like they used to do. Rush 4, play zone behind it with 7, and let them catch the ball near the line of scrimmage, rally up and tackle. I think you can get back to being the defense that you were before.
We'll take your calls, 888-957-9570. Chase Young is a 49er coming from the Washington Commanders in exchange for a comp third-round pick. The Niners will only pay him about $500,000, and if he leaves in free agency next year, they'll probably get that comp third back. But you also start to sort of wonder, maybe they'll sign him. Maybe they keep him. Maybe they'll bookend two of the top defensive ends, that is, in the game together. Mike in Hayward next up on Willard and Dibs. Hey, Mike, what's up?
I'll see you when I get there. Okay, no worries.
No worries. You're right, Mike.
Yeah,
no worries.
Mike, a couple things, Mark, just real quick that are
thanks, Mike.
Stats that are troubling.
Good call.
The 49ers, third down conversion percentage on defense, they're 22nd, which means they're allowing 40.6% of third downs are getting converted. The other scary one, red zone percentage of TDs allowed, 61%. You are 23rd in red zone defense. So teams are converting a lot of thirds, and when they get in the red zone, they're scoring 61% of the time.
Yeah, and that's the money time. You talk about Brock Purdy's interceptions in the fourth quarter. That's kind of what it is for a defense. And third down, you got to get off the field.
Yep.
But I go to the run game because it's very different if it's 3rd and 7 versus 3rd and 3. Very, very different. Bill in San Jose, you're next up. Hi, Bill. What's going on?
Hey, Willard, I totally agree with you about the defensive coaching. I think that calling a blitz with 10 seconds left in the half cost them a ball game. It was really ridiculous. And, they got to think about some changes there. I think it's the problem of the coaching. I really do. And also, you've got the secondary playing off the receivers all the time on third down. And I think that's part of the problem.
Well, and Bill, that's kind of what Bill thanks. That's kind of what I've been getting at in terms of like what you're watching in terms of coverages doesn't match what the defensive line is doing. It just doesn't. It doesn't match up. Those things have got to be in concert, right? Whether you're going to press, whether you're giving a little bit of space based on what the defensive line is doing, the execution is all messed up, and they're not working together. And that's why quarterbacks are sitting back there doing things like completing 19 in a row.
Well, if you're bringing the heat and your guys are playing 10 yards off, then it's kind of what the Rams did.
Bad combo.
Stafford was, boop, balls out. Okay, you're beating my offensive line. Where's Puka? And now they got Cupper Coop back, and they're going to have to face Cupper Coop this time when they play the Rams again. They didn't last time. So that's an interesting notion about the pass rush and the coverage matching up, and they've been out of sync.